Okay, so we should be live. Happy Monday. Well, I am going to share a few personal things. I've had a couple conversations with clients recently, and they didn't realize some of the things that I've been through in my health and fitness journey. So as I was sharing some of those, they were astonished and said I should share that with everyone, because oftentimes people think that I just have it all figured out and that I've always had it easy, and health and fitness just comes easy to me, and my body is just, well, that's just how it is. And I want to share with you that that's not how it's always been. And I've had, well, I'm going to confess a few things to you here, and see if perhaps my journey will maybe ease up some pressure in your world and give you some insight into the whole health and fitness journey. And maybe, well, again, take some pressure off you wherever you are in your own journey. So, big confession, I've lost and gained a couple of times over 50 pounds. And yes, it was with the birth of my children. When my son was born, I did gain with my first son over 50 pounds. And I thought when I got on the scale the next morning after giving birth to an almost 10-pound boy, that my weight would have been down more than 10 pounds because I lost the placenta and the baby and all of that. And I mean, the weight of the baby, I didn't lose my baby, but it was a 10-pound baby. So I thought, well, all of a sudden I'll have that weight gone. I was like, not even a pound. In fact, I was a little bit more, which was astonishing. And I was so fixated on the weight at that time, but it really was such a good lesson for me to flip the switch on that, because looking at that scale, in the moment that I looked at that weight, thinking the weight would be gone on the scale, I remember feeling the correlation of a number on the scale with how I felt about myself, and yet also the feeling I felt as a new mom. And immediately I had to separate that out and go, that is not healthy. But I'm so glad I went through that experience, because now I know the scale is the last thing you want to be looking at. That does not tell you how healthy you are. And I can tell you, even when my numbers were 40 and 50 pounds less than that on that day, I wasn't healthier. Mentally, physically, emotionally, I wasn't necessarily healthier. And so this is important, because I think a lot of people can get stuck on looking at the scale as your bar of what you should or shouldn't be doing with your life and what you're eating. And then the second time I gained and lost the weight, of course, with my second son on that, was a significant weight on there second time, but my health was not, I was in poor health that I didn't realize, because I was in really incredibly stressful time. It was 2008. You can imagine what was going on. We lost our house. My husband was laid off. We were in, he was laid off for a long time. So the stress was so enormous, and my son being born in that, but also me health-wise, my health was subpar. I was just not doing well. So that affects the weight as well, not just the physical weight on the scale, but the weight that we carry around, the emotional and the mental weight that we carry around. So just knowing that's one piece there. And then right now, I'm not even my fighting weight, what I like to call my fighting weight. I'm about 15 to 20 pounds over my fighting weight when I was at my best weight, strong, or I thought at least really strong and fit, in the way that I was super lean, wasn't necessarily healthy. So I was teaching my kickboxing and spin classes, 5 and 6, sometimes 7 a day. I had 17 yoga classes that I was teaching a day or a week. And so in that, there were so many things. Sometimes I didn't consider the yoga classes as work, but that's so much energy expended physically. And in putting out that energy, I thought, well, I'm healthy. I must be strong and healthy because I'm teaching all these classes. And I never slowed down to look in the mirror and actually connect with my spirit and my purpose, and really just slow down to look at, what do I truly value? What fulfills me? I was so busy going to the next class, or so busy going to the next audition, or so busy going to the next, okay, now I have to, now it's time to get married, and now it's time to have kids, and now it's time to this. And when that starts happening, there's this momentum that goes on, and it can become an enormous amount of weight mentally and emotionally and spiritually that we don't account for when we're just looking at ourselves physically and looking in the mirror, or not looking in the mirror because we're embarrassed about the extra weight that we're holding on to. And it wasn't until I got very, very sick. This was after my second son was born. 2008, so crazy stressful. And in between those times, I was experiencing some pretty severe issues, physiological issues. I had a chronic disease that it was not diagnosed. And so both of my brothers were diagnosed with Crohn's disease. And I myself had celiac and had chronic high temperatures, really just chronic inflammation, just chronic issues, chronically sick, truth be told, chronically sick. And it was in that journey of healing and doing everything in the physical realm with the doctors and the specialists and my own health and my own exercise, meditating and thinking that was it, that I looked at the spiritual. Now, before that, I had already done quite a bit of cognitive therapy. I was a trained therapist. I had spent an entire decade doing therapy in the chair as a counselor and was a volunteer minister. So I was doing a lot of the head work, mental head work, where I consider it the cognitive therapy type of things, right? Unpacking that. And then I was going and doing my fitness and the physical things, and then doing the basic nutrition of what we're trained in as personal trainers. And then had my own spiritual practice, but they were all separate. All of them were separate. And when I decided, and really it was taking some classes, I started really diving in deeply with Pilates and bringing in less of a superficial idea of yoga and bringing it more grounded to that it wasn't just a dogmatic thing to do. I was very dogmatic about certain things, yoga being one of them, Tai Chi being one of them, but they were all separate and I segregated them all. And then when I brought them all together and realized how they are pieces of one whole puzzle, at least for me, I started unraveling things in my own health that really was the catalyst to my final healing, and didn't have to keep throwing out things that were, the doctors tried so many different things. We couldn't get to the bottom of it. Even where I was diagnosed with celiac, took all the gluten out. There were other deeper things. So I had a personal childhood that was very stressful. There was sexual abuse involved, and that was buried. That was totally buried. And I put a lot of my attention on other things, on other people. Mine looked like helping other people. I wanted to help if I helped other people, then I didn't have to look at my own stuff. And a lot of times I see this with clients is they've either become a very busy professional, they've become an executive where they have no time for themselves, busy entrepreneur, they have no time for themselves, no time for their own nutrition, no time to even think about their own health, no time to really exercise or be present. It's just another thing to check off, to go and do. Been there, done that, lived that, got the t-shirts. It's not workable. You will burn out. In my 50s now, I wish I could go and tell that 20-year-old, the 30-year-old, even the 40-year-old, what I know now. And so I can't go back and tell that girl that, but I can tell you, you are a whole person. You are a whole, beautiful composite of mental energy, emotional energy, physical energy, spiritual energy. It's all energy. And when they're separated or when they're compartmentalized, we don't realize that they are. I love this quote from John Muir, where he says, and you'll have to find the exact quote, but it's so beautiful. He talks about when you tug on just one piece of the universe or one part of the web, you can't help but affect or impact the whole. And that's where Yogilachi came about. That's where in 20 some years ago now, I coined yoga, Pilates, and Tai Chi to start bringing these together, to start bringing them together to my clients, instead of when my client would come to me, they just wanted the fitness and the nutrition, but they didn't want to do the spiritual stuff or do the deeper inner work that's required. And then when I started working with putting all of that together and seeing the results that were almost instantaneous, meaning when we found the right exact piece, the pain would shift, the dis-ease would shift, conditions would reverse naturally. And so we look at now the body, I look at the body and see how it is a culmination of the mental and the emotional and the spiritual and the physical. And when we can look at it from that whole perspective, the 360 degree, right? We want to look at this beautiful sphere of everything and exteriorize and expand out from it and observe, but then also go inside and look from the inside out and allow for things to unfold in a more holistic and natural way. That's when profound things happen. And I think that you learn so much more about yourself as well. And the results, as well as the long-term results, the immediate results are there, but the long-term results that are sustainable and that it's more of this upward spiral instead of kind of this maintenance I'm constantly having to maintain. Instead of this, you understand that it's this continuous growth, this continuous expansion and upward spiraling. And it's so much more beautiful as far as a journey and the experience of life. And yeah, so I wanted to share that today. And I'm just going to go back and touch on two things because oftentimes people that have come to me don't realize I have firsthand experience with Crohn's disease and issues around inflammation and healing the gut. And I have been trained now in a biochemistry protocol that is what I think is incredibly foundational to one's health, instead of these fad diets that we tend to go to because we're looking for answers. So then we start searching for the answers, and then there's the next fad diet, or there's the next, dare I say it, marketing company that wants you to buy their get thin fast milkshake or whatever it is and consume that. And what I have found is that it's not about consuming more. It's actually about consuming less, but more of the right things. And I don't know any pill or potion or formula that's in a powder form that is optimal for every human body. I think if you know what you're needing, so, you'll see an article and it's like, oh, we'll put collagen in my coffee every day and then make it bulletproof because if I put this in it, all of a sudden, but what's missing here, what's the big piece that's missing here is, you can create deficiencies by overdoing certain things. So for example, if all of a sudden you are missing, or if you cram vitamin C, and ascorbic acid is a synthetic form of vitamin C, and you're loading yourself with that. Remember, the body works with this beautiful biochemistry where it links up with other molecules. Okay, if you throw in and just, well, I need so much zinc now. They're saying I need vitamin C and zinc, and you're putting in these synthetic forms. You're actually susceptible to creating a much bigger deficiency down the road. So understanding that your food has, and really whole food is the number one way to get your nutrition. Whole food, not processed, not these packaged foodstuffs. Whole food is really the optimal way to get your nutrition, and whole nutrition, as opposed to one nutrient that you read you need to up your level of that and high doses of it in order to create. Well, I look at why are we deficient in the first place? And if we can look at the whole meal or the whole pattern of nutrition for a bit, we can see so much further, and we can see how all of these building blocks are important to look at. And when we compartmentalize even the nutrition piece and think, okay, I'm going to bring in this ascorbic acid, which is, again, the synthetic vitamin C, that you're putting in something that the body is going to go and try and find a way to utilize that. Most of it hopefully will be peed out. And I say hopefully because you don't want that stuck in your tissues or your liver. You want it to be peed out, but again, it becomes expensive pee, right? So things that you can do to ensure your health and lifelong health is to focus on a whole view, a whole person view, a whole you view. And so what's that whole you? It would have to encompass every bite that you eat. And in that moment, what you are eating and how you're eating and where that food's coming from. And are you present to it? So there's your mind. And then are you are you fulfilled in your life? Are you living on purpose? And all of that starts to come together. And when you start to see all these pieces fill in, your journey becomes so much more rewarding. And it's easier to discover for yourself what your higher purpose is, or what, it's easier to be more present to your emotions and not be in react stimulus response. So dealing with stress is far easier when you are whole. And wholeness is going to come from the nutrition and the movement and the mindsets and all of these pieces working together in this beautiful way, instead of compartmentalizing everything and just, okay, now I got to go get my workout. And now I have to down my collagen drink or my bulletproof coffee or my shake, that's my new awesome shake. And maybe I need to tell 50 other people about my shake because I just dropped 50 pounds. I want to see you in 6 months after you drop that 50 pounds. And I want to know how you're doing mentally. And I want to know how you're doing emotionally. And I want to know how you're doing spiritually. And I want to know how you're doing with your relationships. And I want to know how you're doing in your journey of your life. When we find or try to go after those quick fixes, I'm telling you, I'm right here with you. I've done the potions, I've done the pills, I've done the formulas, and I've done the fads. And I'll share this beautiful analogy with you, and that is the precious egg that is only going to survive, only going to thrive, only going to live if it comes from the inside out. So if you go and keep hitting on that egg from the outside in, and it's not ready to unfold or to be born, it will not live. And that's the journey that we all have to take. And there's not a shortcut. There's not a pill or a potion. There's not a jab that is a shortcut to your immune system or a shortcut to your well-being, or a shortcut to your being fit and strong or flexible, or being able to do something like a handstand or run a race. There's no shortcuts to these, folks. There's no shortcut to success. And if you're a busy professional, if you're a busy entrepreneur, if you're a busy leader, whether it's your family or whether it's your community, whether it's your church, wherever you are leading, you know that there is no quick fix to the results you want for whether it's your team or your business. There's no light switch on this. Well, let's turn the light switch on and shed some light on how things are. But we have to take back the control of our health from the inside out and move from there. Even me as a coach and as a practitioner, while I will seemingly knock on that outside, what it is almost trying to help you chip away the covering, the mud that's covering up the beautiful shell that's ready to be released. And sometimes we have to uncover the layers first. And sometimes it's not very comfortable. But I think if you know you are on this journey and you want to move forward in this journey, and why I'm sharing all of this with you is because I am passionate about this, so deeply passionate about health and true health, because I've been on the other side of it. I've seen what very bad health to the point of nearing deathbed health. I've seen it. I've experienced it myself. I've seen it with close family members. I've experienced the death of family members because of health and things that are preventable. And some are just don't want to do the work, don't want to. It's easier to just be complacent. It's just easier to keep lighting up the cigarette. It's just easier to, or it's seemingly easier. And it's heartbreaking. But again, it's why I am so passionate about helping, busy, especially busy entrepreneurs running around, busy executives. I know this because I was there running around so busy. The busyness I thought was being busy in the health field. But there is so much false information in the health industry, in the medical industry, even worse. There's so much false information, and true health at its core is far simpler than you can ever imagine. And it's such a gift, but we've become so entrenched in kind of assembly line, what's the next quick fix, that we have forgotten that there's a process. And in that process creates a foundation of stability for your health, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. That health is what I think, that to me is true health, but I think that's what most are really after. So I shared with you what my own journeys have been, and working and growing up, seeing my mom in debilitating pain, seeing my brothers with Crohn's disease and having an ileostomy bag and going through, it's just devastating. All of these are completely preventable. These diseases are preventable. And our health is in our own hands. And it's something that we can do, and we can reverse so much. We can cure so much by having a fundamental understanding of what true health really is. And I hope that that's given you a little bit of insight, a little bit of an understanding in why I do what I do, why I am an advocate for true health and for wellness from the inside out. It's not really a shortcut. Shortcuts totally end in dead ends and miserable dead ends. But the not necessarily the long way, but the right way is that path that will lead you to unbelievably amazing health. Just read some of the success stories, listen to some of the people that have really experienced this and have taken the journey from this place of moving from the inside out. And I can tell you, getting my own mind and my body and my health in order helped me get my life in order and be a better person, be a better business owner, be a better coach, be a better mother, be a better partner. And, let's talk about where you are. I would love to know where you are in your journey. I wouldn't say post in the threads here unless you feel comfortable, but reach out to me, get on my calendar, go to stefana.net and get a time on my calendar. I would love to sit with you. I would love to talk with you about your goals, your journey, and perhaps steer you in a way or jumpstart your health and weight loss goals, if that's what it is. And, when I talk about weight loss, I'm not talking just physical. It's the emotional, it's the mental, it's that spiritual weight. And I think this last year and a half now has been incredibly heavy, has been a burden and a weight that none of us should have had to bear. None of us, and certainly not our children. My God, our children have had to bear the weight of this. It's a tragedy. It's a deep tragedy there. But we all are in some place in our own journeys, and wherever you're at in your journey, wherever you're at, can you imagine finally achieving milestones that you've dreamt about, that you have longed for, or maybe rekindling a goal, or rekindling and getting back on a path to your best health? To your best health could look like a certain weight, a certain size, but with looking at this whole perspective, being the best version of you, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, that's what I would just love to help you, even if it's just one step further in that right direction. So go to my calendar, stefana.net. This is everything to me. This is everything to me. And we are in a time and a place now where our health has to be taken back into our own hands. And it can be fun. It can be an amazing journey, because when you get the body and the mind and that health right, you will get your life right. And that's priceless. So I'm Stefana Johnson. This has been a Monday morning mentoring, maybe a little bit somber and serious, but I wanted to share with you all and give you some perspective of my personal experience. Okay, peace and blessings. Have an amazing week.